Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and we are coming at you at a different time right now. So hopefully some of you folks over there in Europe and in parts of Asia can watch us at a little bit more of a decent hour. It's still going to be a little bit later there for you guys, but at least it's not going to be like 3 in the morning.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like some of the other times that you have to deal with when we're live streaming. So we're going to be doing this every Tuesday. We're going to be live streaming until we get through this whole worldwide pandemic BS. BS stands for bullshit.
Bull turd.
So until we get through all this, we are going to probably... we're stuck here at home. I haven't left the house in 3 days. And, yeah, so anyway, I haven't even gotten to the store. What's that?
It's kind of a normal thing, though.
Yeah, I'm keeping Dustin 6 feet away. Stay away. Yeah, he's over there. So, anyway, here we are. So, we're going to do some illustration for you today. And before we get to that, I want to mention that, also because of this pandemic, and we know you guys are stuck at home, I want to mention again that our Fundamentals of Animation course, we've decided just to give it to you guys, put it out there for free. And so you guys will have something to do while you're sitting at home. And it's all of the fundamentals, the 12 fundamentals of animation, my approach, the way I do it, and it's for free. So go over to creatureartteacher.com and download that. I want to close this real quick. And download that and enjoy it. And everything else is 45% off, I believe. And then 45. I think it's 45. And then, and also, I just released a brand new course on lighting, and we've decided to keep that at 50% off, so you guys can have some fun with that. If you've ever seen my paintings and the way that I light things, this course will tell you the way that I approach that and the way I think about it. And actually, though, what I'm going to be doing today, which is a very kind of complex cityscape, and the way I like that. So go over and check that out. So it's all at creatureartteacher.com, and for the lighting course, it's creatureartteacher.com/light. So I'm all burpy this morning.
All burpy?
Yeah, I'm burpy.
Burpity burper.
And as usual, I've got Dustin over here with me.
Hi! How's it going, guys?
Thirsty.
Thirsty.
Nothing better than water.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
And then I've got Nick over in Sarasota, and he's going to be answering questions over on YouTube.
Nick
Birch. And so today, I'm going to be working on this cityscape. So I've got this illustration job that I'm doing. And yesterday, I did a few thumbnails of what I thought, well, first of all, the illustration job. I'm doing all these different characters for this role-playing game. It's a choose-your-own-adventure. Not really choose-your-own-adventure, but kind of is. Role-playing game. It's really cool, and I'm illustrating the world and some of the characters. And so all of this world takes place on this huge bridge. This bridge is like 5 miles long by, I think, 1.5 miles wide, and it's this big city where all this drama takes place. And so I'm trying to kind of do a painting of what at least a piece of that bridge might look like, and so I want it to feel big. And one idea that I came up with, I did this one right off the bat yesterday, which I think is kind of cool, but obviously it doesn't really show off the bridge other than its size. I put the viewer down below, and I wanted to show the scale with people, in the shot, and there we go. And, I had this boat sailing through under the bridge to show the scale. And you could see the bridge way up high up in the mist, where the people live. And I thought it was kind of cool, and it's big and it's graphic. But once again, it doesn't really show off the scale of the city that's on top. And so I thought, well, why don't I try another view and pull it around, and why don't we look at it from the opposite? We'll get a bird's eye view, but kind of looking down the bridge the same way. And so I turned the viewer, I brought the view back up, and this is the image that I created right here. Yes, pretty much. Is this it right here? Yes, this is it. And
Are you sure about that?
yes. So this is the image that I created right here, but I was doing it out of my head, and I didn't have any I wasn't projecting any perspective grids or anything like that. So I was just doing it by eye, really quickly, and this is all 3-point perspective. And so I realized once I got the sketch done that there was a lot of perspective that was off in it. And so I went ahead and created a 3-point perspective grid. And if, by the way, you're interested in some perspective courses, I teach a course on perspective. It's on my site, creatureartteacher.com, and I go through all of 1, 2, and 3-point perspective. It's very cool. Part of which the 3-point perspective would help you create something like this. So I did this in my head, and once again realized that a lot of it was off. And so what I did was I took this and brought it over, created a much bigger space, and kind of skewed it so that the horizon was the right way, and created a 3-point perspective grid over the top of it. So you can see that there. And then I took that and brought it over. And this is I brought it over and created this image right here, and realized that I felt like it was very confined. I had to kind of tilt the whole image in order to get the horizon to be straight and feel a little less skewed. So that's what I did here. Let me turn on the grid. That's very light on this one. And so I used the grid to kind of just go through and true up some of the perspective a little bit. It's still a little bit off, but we're gonna fix that as we do the final image today. And then I added to the composition itself, so you got a bit more of the bridge on the bottom, and we get more of a square composition. And I like this image a lot more. So when I turn the grid off, you can see it's a much better rendition of the bridge, and the all of the perspective is much clearer and more accurate. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this into a painting. It's going to stay loose, but we're going to have some fun with that. And I just want to mention again that my lighting course is 50% off, and we're going to extend that all the way through the week. So, if you're stuck at home and you want to do some painting, whether it's digital, because it's not just my digital painting, it's how I approach lighting traditionally, digitally, all that kind of stuff. So go check that out. creatureartteacher.com/light. Did you put that up there, by the way, when I the page?
The lighting?
Yeah, go ahead and put the lighting one up there.
There it is. I would put up like three
Okay,
times
gotcha.
earlier,
I want to
so.
make sure you got it. So I want them to see, like, for instance, if you look at this page that we created, there's a lot of instances where I go through and take you through the same situation, but light it in different ways. And that's really, to have that ability, especially as an animation artist or any type of artist in the industry, it really helps for you to visualize, the possibilities for a shot, which is kind of cool. YouTube comment, hello from South Korea. Hey, South Korea. I think you guys are stuck at home as well. And I'm glad that we're doing this at a time that you guys can join us. This is kind of cool. And YouTube comment, thank you so much. My animation class got canceled. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Thank you. Well, hopefully this will help with your animation class and your animation training. So now, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take this image.
Kristen Von Benson says, as you guys have hurricane parties, we could have a quarantine party?
Yeah, we kind of could. We kind of are, actually. So I'm going to take this and, whoops, there we go. Let me redo
And Caroline just came on for a minute. Said, hey guys, off to Woodruff in a few minutes. Hope to see you there later.
Yeah.
Gotta get me some gators.
All right.
And what time is it over here? It is currently 9:13 in the morning.
It is 9:13 in the morning, yes. 9:13 a.m. So let's take this. All right, so we have this group merged, and we're going to take this, and I'm going to knock this down like that. Knock the opacity down. And I'm going to turn on this my grid. The grid I'm going to knock way down. I don't need to see all of it. Oops, I just knocked down the grid. I need to knock way down.
And Kendra Williford.
Hey, Kendra Williford.
That's so fun. What a fun gig. How did that one come about?
This is we've partnered up with a guy that a friend of Nick's that we are doing this project together, and he is kind of the creator of the project, the writer, and all of that. And so we came in as the visualization of the illustrators for it, and that's what we're doing. All right, so here we go. Here we go. I'm going to do this with a different brush. I'm going to just use a simple round brush. I find that that's, for this type of stuff, it's the best.
And Nolan Taylor wants me to say, "Hi, how are you?"
All right, so here we go. I'm just going to come in and just start drawing. And so the thing is, you know, with this kind of thing, I can do this all freehand. And what's great, it's great. Because I've got the grid right here. Even though it's freehand and it's not going to be perfect, the goal here is not to be perfect. The goal here is to have perfect perspective. Yes.
Arturo Garcia is asking, are you still doing your Friday live streams?
Yes, we're still going to do our Friday live streams. The Friday live streams are going to be at our usual time. But we're doing these streams every Monday at 9 a.m. so that we can get to our friends in Asia and further over in Europe a little better, because we really want to cater to everybody.
Johnny Zapita says that it's currently 6:15 a.m. at Santa Monica.
Yeah, I know it would be tough for our friends in California to watch.
Over California.
But I really wanted to make sure that our Asian friends got this.
And Nora Stoicheva says, Hi Blazes, thanks so much for these classes and your support. My painting class got canceled too. Like everything else around here. Yay to the internet and distance learning.
That's right.
You're very welcome, Nora.
And Nick Birch. I think Nick Birch always gets forgotten because he's behind the scenes, but I don't want Nick to be forgotten because Nick is getting up early doing this as well.
Thank you, Nick.
Nick Birch.
And Kimberly Niam Collins says, hello from the UK. I met you at Lightbox, which was awesome. I was wondering what your perspective course includes. I really struggled with perspective when I was drawing that Kona Cove project I showed you, and wondered if it could be good for a bunch of tips to improve.
Yes, it would help you immensely. It takes you through. I started learning perspective when I was 8 years old, and I taught myself how to do perspective to scale, which is the mathematical projection and all that kind of stuff. And so I've been doing perspective for 40 years, over 40 years. And one of my first jobs was when I was 18, I got a job at an engineering firm to create renderings of some of the buildings that they created in perspective. And so I already knew how to do it because I've been teaching myself and had been learning from my father when he started teaching me when I was 8. And so, I've taken all those years of experience and I've packed it all into this course. Everything I know about perspective: 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective, how to do perspective using building plans, how to do perspective, complex perspective with complex buildings like this. Um, all that kind of stuff. So there you go.
And Martinberg is asking, can you show us which parts of the perspective is off?
Well, here I've already got it corrected. I had gone through earlier and kind of corrected some of these buildings were off, and you'll see as I go through, what I'm trying to do is just really correct both my well, basically all the perspective going into the vanishing points on the horizon, which is up above, up here, and then all my perspective going down into the water, going down to show the depth or the height, basically. I just seriously spit when I said that.
Spit.
I spit.
Spit.
So I'm using the grid. I created the grid so that as I draw freehand, it helps me. And the other thing too is in stuff like this, it's very important. You'll notice that. Let me turn this off. A lot of this is I'm just throwing lines in and just general kind of detail and fooling the eye into thinking there's something there when all I'm really doing is just creating stuff. And as long as that stuff keeps its correct perspective, and it feels like there's some substance, and I can create the right value, meaning light and dark. If it feels like there's shadow and light and things happening there, then your brain just kind of fills in the rest, and you don't have to go in there and just really noodle every little detail. You just have to throw in detail and suggest to the viewer, and the brain fills in the rest. It's it's something that map painters created a lot of, like during the Star Wars days when they were doing practical effects, and they had to do paintings to fill in the backgrounds. They would do these very complex paintings of the Death Star or all the soldiers standing at attention in the Death Star. A lot of those were paintings, and the way they did that was just creating a lot of quick detail, like I will be doing right now. I'm just creating the buildings.
Sophie Keep comments saying, a little late, but now you can keep me company while I decorate.
There you go. Like this building here, if I zoom in, so if you see this roof line, see that roof line right there? That roof line is way off. I got to pull that roof line back like this to match my perspective grid. It's just things like that.
Little things. Just little details.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And Martin Berger comments, today I got a phone call that my exhibition that I was working on for 2 years is delayed. So now I have more time to watch courses and live streams by Aaron. Lately, the human anatomy course was very helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, at least it's delayed. It's not canceled. So take solace in that, and rock on, little rocker.
And side landing. I apologize if I messed up the name, but upside of quarantine is getting to work from home and listening to your streams again.
All right.
That is a good upside. There's a silver lining.
There is.
And Kimberly from the previous perspective question says, amazing. Thank you so much. That was super helpful. Gonna purchase the perspective course now. Hoping you might remember me from Lightbox. I had a booklet that I gave you of my art, and you had me sign it before
Oh yeah, I remember.
You don't remember her?
I do. YouTube comment. I wanted to let you know that I purchased a Premier membership and have started into the tutorials. They are awesome. Coming from an autistic and dyslexic, you are a great teacher for people like me. Well, I'm happy that you like them. Thank you very much for saying so. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting into some random, trying to think of what would be down here. Like maybe there's a sidewalk or a balcony coming out right here, maybe a railing. But I'm trying to make sure that I'm staying along with my grids. Here's a railing. Now if I turn this off, you can see if I turn this off, that's how much we've gotten drawn.
Wow.
You know, there's not much there.
Still got a bit of a ways.
Oh yeah. But the goal here is to just continually get in here, and I want to get all the main shapes in.
And Raphael Andrade is asking, how's Snow Bear going? I'm looking forward to watch it finished and winning lots of awards.
Well, we are hoping to get it done within my lifetime. But yeah, it's right now we're not doing anything on it because we've been really focusing on trying to get courses done for everyone. That's our biggest thing, trying to create content for our website. And so I want to make sure that I've been doing that. I mean, people become members, and I want to make sure that I'm creating content for them. And so that's been our biggest focus.
And Robert Breedis says and asks, hello, Aaron. I purchased your How to Draw Wolves, Coyotes, and Foxes course. I was wondering if your upcoming Birds of Prey course, if you could include corvids as well. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
I will have corvids at one point, but it won't be Birds of Prey.
Oh.
Corvids are like ravens and crows and that sort of thing. If you're wondering.
Like the grackle? Is grackle would be?
A grackle is not a corvid.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
A blackbird does not make it just because it's black doesn't make it a corvid.
Oh no, I just figured the size, and it looks pretty close to like.
Nope. No, they're not actually. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
What species is a grackle?
A grackle. Grackle is the species. Yeah.
Boo.
No, it's not good. It's a good question. I'm just going through and let me turn everything off so you can see the grid. So here's the grid. The grid is just there to make sure that all my line work going off into my vanishing points that are off screen and down below, making sure that everything is consistent. And so I have this grid that I created, and this is one of the things I'll teach you in my perspective course, so that when I do the drawing, which is what I'm doing here, I know that it's on, I'm keeping it consistent. You can see that everything going down is staying consistent with my line work. That's all going down, and then everything going off to the left is staying consistent, except for that roof line.
And Kevin Van Claveren asks, did you first doodle some thumbnails and then chose this one?
Yeah, these were the thumbnails. So
These are the thumbnails.
This was the thumbnail. I worked it really quick and loose. Sometimes thumbnail doesn't have to be tiny, because I knew this was going to be a big illustration, and so I approached it just kind of scribbling ideas. So if I turn this off, I approached it basically, well, actually, let me turn these on and go to the other ones. So, I hit it too many times.
Yarg.
So these were the two right here, and I approached them very loosely. This was the first one. And just really started scribbling big shapes. I had a vision in my mind of what I wanted it to be. The spot I kept imagining looking up at this bridge and what this bridge, the massiveness of what it would be like, and wanting to show the atmosphere and using that atmosphere to show distance and big shapes and silhouettes and things like that. So that's what this image was, and I still might do this as an image. I just kind of like it. I think it makes kind of a cool painting. But I realized it didn't really show off the city part of it, like I was saying. It shows off the massiveness of the bridge, but really doesn't show off the size or the city part. So I decided, okay, let's show the opposite view. So I put myself up in the air looking down on it instead of up at it, and focused on really showing the buildings. And I just started drawing shapes in perspective, in 3-point perspective, and just started working it that way. And you can see how loose they get here in the background. They're just really quick scribbles. And that to me is still a thumbnail, even though it's a larger sketch. It's still a thumbnail. It's something where I'm working out the ideas. That's what a thumbnail is meant to be, is working out compositional ideas. And so that's what this was. Once I decided I liked this one the most, then that's when I created the 3-point grid. And that's what I'm doing now is, for creating the this one here, creating the final image and shoring everything up.
The final image.
Yes. Ooh. For those of you that don't know, that's the sound of a spider elephant.
Is it spider elephant or elephant spider?
Or spidephant.
Spidephant?
Yeah, if you guys remember, if you were on our live stream last week, or the week before, we did the spidephant. And Dustin has come up with what a spidephant sounds like. That's what a spidephant sounds like. It's just random. So this is meant to feel like a medieval type city, but kind of fantasy driven as well. So I want a lot of I want it to feel like this could be the land of creatures and fairies and whatnot.
I'm all out of questions on Facebook.
Yeah, people aren't used to tuning in, I think, this early or in this time zone.
I mean, we have a lot of views, but Elliot Johnson says, "What about an elefighter?"
Elefighter.
Elefighter. Or a spelephant. Spelephants.
Arachnoderm.
Arachnoderm.
Yes, as in pachyderm.
Arachnophant.
Yeah, a couple of people, Nick kept saying arachnoderm when we did it. I think that's a good term, arachnoderm. So I'm literally just, if I turn all of this off, you can see, turn this off, just creating kind of a very quick sketch of what I think it's going to look like, and then we're going to go in and start coloring it, and we'll shore up some of the other stuff.
And actually, that fills in a bit of a new question that's popped up from Kelly Stark. Says, I just got here, and what are we working on today?
We are working on a bridge, a giant bridge that I have to do an illustration of. Where is that? There we go. A giant bridge that I'm doing an illustration of that has a city on it. The bridge is 5 miles long by 1.5 miles wide, if I remember right. And so I am creating a little city on top of this bridge. On top of this bridge.
So Brenda Swanson comments saying, Aaron, my daughter Sharon has been training with you for years, and you have been her most influential role model. And she's graduating this year and was accepted to Ringling Computer Animation class of 2024.
Yay!
That is crazy.
Awesome. That makes me happy.
And Mario Stefan Grosu says, Hi, Aaron. Random question, but do you have off days where you just can't draw? Love your art and your streams.
I not as often as I used to. I kind of, over the years of just doing it every day, you get used to kind of going through the routine of, getting in the saddle. Like today, you get up first thing in the morning and we hop on the board and start talking and drawing and there's a process to creativity, and one of the first ways of keeping creative is to do it a lot. And so as many of you know, I do it a lot, and so the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so you just keep doing it and you get better and you get better. And I want this to kind of be a sidewalk, I think, right here.
Right down.
Right there.
There we go.
Let me see what that's going to look like. Oh yeah, that's a sidewalk. See,
There we
you
go.
see, and we'll have people about this big walking. That's the scale. So those are people. Let me blow that up. Oh, the mailman's here. So those are people walking along the sidewalk, looking over the bridge. So that'll give you a sense of scale and how big this bridge is. But
It's a pretty big bridge.
It's a big bridgey. But back to what you're saying. So yes, there are days that I'm not as creative right off the bat, but you do get in there and you find ways of kind of combating that, and you just get in and do it. And so I've been doing it enough for long enough that like I said, it's just you get better at it the more you do it. And so I just kind of hop in, and even if I'm struggling, I know that I'll break through.
Are those old questions up there?
There we go. We're getting somewhere here. YouTube question: if your horizon line is on a diagonal, you could still make it look correct. No? Of course, absolutely. It will always feel a little bit skewed, like the camera's been tilted, and I didn't want that feeling for this one, so I straightened the horizon, which meant straightening the whole composition. But you can absolutely, you can have your horizon completely 45 degrees across your image and make it work. Absolutely, yes. How long ago did you start teaching it? What you learned? Well, even when I was at Disney, I was teaching here and there for new interns that would come in and whatnot.
Whatnot.
So I've been teaching for 25 years. That was part of our job, is that especially as a supervising animator, you've got to teach everybody else your method for drawing your character, so that they can all draw your character the same way. So that becomes a big part of it. And so it really taught me how to communicate what's in my head to other artists.
And Christy Brody says, Hi there from Australia.
Hello.
Hello. I have a rather odd question about perspective and depth in art. I am unable to see depth due to an eye condition. Let's just say I walk into walls a lot, and often
I'm
struggling...
assuming you're seeing through one eye and not two eyes.
Most likely. And often struggling having backgrounds looking correct. Do you have any technical suggestions on how to learn how to fake depth that I can't study?
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I'm doing it now is completely faking it because I'm depending on a mathematical approach to uh, perspective. And this is exactly how anybody can do it, whether you see depth or not. You follow this grid line, the way that I'm doing it, and you're right on the money. Um, and this has been the practice of many artists creating depth in paintings for years and years. Um, so it's not too hard. You just if you the best I can tell you is to take my course. I hate to sound like I'm trying to hawk my teaching, but the course will show you everything that you need to know, and if you follow the rules, you've created depth, whether or not you can see depth or not. And and you don't have to be able to. The problem that you have is that you don't see depth in a three-dimensional world. But we're creating two-dimensional images, so you should be able to create the depth no problem, because it's a two-dimensional image that you're creating. I mean, it's a three-dimensional image, but it's flattened to a two-dimensional image. So you should be okay. So these are kind of the main. Okay, here. Maybe some steps coming up.
So, I'm going to try to translate this question here. When it comes to creating the thumbnails, do you do just the outlines like black and white, or do you also color them?
I'm just transferring. There we go. Just the drawing at this point. Just because I just need to know what my parameters are, and you can see how rough it is. I'm just laying that in, and then I'll get it up to color. I'll have all the values painted in. YouTube question. I would like to know, what is your opinion on the 3D market and animation in general, as well as concept art for the entertainment industry? Is it your opinion that it's still hiring a lot? Well, obviously right now they're not, as everyone's locked down. But yeah, they're hiring. Actually, they're hiring more now than I think they've had in years, because of the demand with all of the streaming. Netflix is doing a lot of stuff. A lot of the streaming platforms. Disney is doing a lot of stuff. So yes, I think the demand is still there.
Elliot Johnson asks, are you going to be making a course on landscape / cityscapes with this kind of stuff? I have so many ideas for them, but I always struggle with perspective and values when it comes to putting them together.
Yes, we will at some point. Yes.
And Toro Garcia jokes, a bridge with a city in the middle of it? Not a very good bridge then. People can't cross because there's a city in the way.
It's a city over water, dude.
The city or town over on a bridge kind of reminds me of like all the houses that would be resting on bridges in old Italy.
Yeah. There's tons of them.
During the Renaissance.
Renaissance, yeah.
And Prudence Glasby asks, "Hi, Aaron.
Hello, Prudence.
How long did the thumbnail for that drawing take? Looks amazing."
The thumbnail took about an hour and a half, or about an hour. I'd say an hour 15. There you go. Split the difference.
And Matt Paquin asks, "Do you do mentorships?"
No. I'm not doing any mentorships right now, but at some point I will. So how do you like that? How do you like them apples? Right now, we just don't have the setup to do it. And we've had too much demand for it. I can't accommodate everybody. But at some point, we are talking about doing something. Just not sure when. Sorry to have such a vague answer. There we go. YouTube comment. I'm glad that you chose this time to stream. I'm in Asia. Excellent. I'm glad you liked that, because that was the whole point. We wanted to make sure that we could get to our Asian friends as well. All right.
Saravanan says, "Hey, Aaron, I really need help on how to distinguish pacing as you animate. I am animating something right now, and I'm struggling to tell whether my pacing is varied or not."
Well, pacing, think of pacing like music. It should have a texture to it. You know, it's got a rhythm to it. And so, you know, if your pacing is very even, just like in music, it's going to be very boring. But if your pacing, you know, if it could have different textures to it within the rhythms, then you're going to find that you create something that has interest. It has it's fun to watch, but you've got to approach it with a natural approach, meaning how would my character act this out first? What is the emotion of the scene, of the shot? And then approach it that way, and then think about your pacing and varying it up and how it's translating that way. And once again, if it's very even, it's going to feel very boring. All right, so I think I've got enough here. I can start throwing in some color. Yeah. I'm gonna set this to multiply.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But,
it is great days.
Yeah, great days. Yeah, Saren says, "Wonderful, thank you."
Look at that. Ooh, psychedelic, man. Multiply. I'm going to knock it way down. 26%.
And Nisa Mazaki says, "Hey, Dustin, Aaron. Hey, Nisa, good to see you again. I remember you from the last live stream."
Alright, I'm going to throw my color layer. I think I'm going to throw my color layer underneath. Whoops.
Whoopsies.
My color layer underneath. There we go. Just want to see.
There we go.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to start painting here.
You're just going to start your painting?
Yeah. Keeping it loose.
Get your paint on.
Keep it high.
It's been a while since I painted on this stinking wall. And he says, "Every time I'm drawing, you guys come on." It's a sign.
Who said that?
Anissa Mazaki.
Uh-huh. Sorry. I hate you guys.
I love you guys. Except you, Kenny.
So I want this to be kind of a colorful city. I think I love different tiled roofs.
Like one will be like red, one will be blue, one is yellow.
Yeah. I think this could be a kind of a fun, colorful city. I hope everyone that I'm doing this for likes it. What do you think, Nick? A colorful city? Without it being garish. I'm not going to go like crazy color, but like what we had in Spain. Remember how Spain was colorful? That's all warm colors with the occasional cool color here and there.
Erica's on.
Erica Bay.
Says, Dustin, just wanted to give you kudos for getting the lighting course edited really fast. Already been working on it. Awesome. Thank you very much, Erica. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, in fact, I think I was editing it like the day after each time we were filming, so I was keeping up with.
Yeah, you were.
I was keeping up with the production. I had a brain fart there for a second.
Did it go?
It went. And Don Higgins says, hello.
Hello.
A couple of weeks ago, I became a full subscriber on CreatureArtTeacher.com, learning lots. And I have
that's great.
Question. Have you ever considered creating a webcomic? Maybe Bear Adventures in the Woods?
You know what? It's something it did cross my mind. I just have such a workload. It's not something that I would be able to do right now. My workload is huge. I've always got something in the works, and it would just be very tough at this point to do.
How long do you think it would take to make like even something as simple as like a 4 to 6 image comic strip? Do you think?
Oh, well, it depends on the complexity of the drawing. But I don't know. There's a lot of mitigating kind of things. It just depends on a lot of different ideas. But your complexity and the complexity of the images, not just that, but of the not just the characters, but also the imagery. What kind of stuff are you looking at? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
What are you looking at?
You know what I mean, Vern? So notice I'm just throwing in color. I know I want the stone areas to be kind of cool, and I'm throwing in browns and blues. Cool browns, though.
Marburger says the city Jeddah in Rogue One is so awesome. This drawing reminds me a little bit of it.
Oh, cool. Which one was Jeddah?
I can see that. I think Jeddah was the one that they all go to. The one that had the Star Destroyer hovering overhead, where they met the blind.
Oh yeah.
The blind man and his buddy. I think they were brothers. Are you kidding me? I am blind. As they put a hood over his head.
Kind of mixing a little bit of Asian influence into it, just a touch.
Henry Seraphim asks, if there's an object or character not grounded and or aligned, how do you know how to keep them within the perspectives? Like, do they follow their own perspective grid?
Yes, if they're let's say they're floating up in the air, they're going to follow their own perspective, but it's still got to match the perspective of the world. Yes. Meaning size relationships is what I mean.
Mario Grosso says, thank you and Dustin for setting time aside for these streams. Happy face.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're very welcome, sir.
I wonder if blue. I think having these as all prime. I don't think that's the right color. I think blue's on wrong.
Wrong. It's all wrong.
I want to keep all the roofs warm. I think you got to experiment.
Sean Sarcona asks, how likely do you see illustration being used to recolor or add additional effects to video using artificial intelligence?
Oh, I have no. Oh, I don't know that they'll. Oh, I'd say never say never. But using artificial intelligence to add stuff creatively, that goes down a weird path for me.
Artificial intelligence?
Yeah. It goes down a weird path for me. I just don't know. Of course, I'm thinking, I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s. So any of
word
this
artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I
is
mean
still
anything
sci-fi to you.
anything we do now is sci-fi to me.
One of my favorite lines in the show Firefly is in the very last episode. Like the pilot of the group, like they're talking about one of the characters who they find out is psychic, and they're like, she's a psychic. It's like living in a sci-fi universe, and his wife goes, "We're in a spaceship, dear." Like, you got a point.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think it's funny how, as time goes on, the future, the depiction of future technology
Changes, right?
changes.
Yeah, of course. Because the future is constantly revealing itself, right?
Yeah.
So back in the 70s, when I was a kid growing up, and I would think about the year 2000. Oh my God, it was going to be, I remember when I was 1977. The year 2000 was 23 years away, and I was going to be 30. What was that? 31, 32 years old. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to be 32, and it's going to it would be flying cars, and what's it going to be like?
I remember growing up to Back to the Future, and they go to the future in part 2, and it's 2015.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And 2015 comes around, it's completely different.
Yeah, of course. Except for the freaking hoverboards.
Wasn't what was it? I think even Blade Runner was supposed to be set to like 2017, 2018.
Yeah. All right.
Lisa says that somehow I like the blue roof better for that tall building.
I don't. I might go back to it. Have you used an app called Flip-a-Clip before? If so, what's your take on it for beginner 2D animators? I've never used it, so I don't know. Sorry. Cool Browns? Why are they so cool? Are they wearing sunglasses? There's always that vision of a drawing, right? But how do you manage to let the piece look exactly like that? Is it possible to learn that, or is it kind of talent? There's no such thing as talent. Yes, everything is possible to learn.
What brush are you using? And is it on the market? Because I really want to buy that.
Oh, the one I'm painting,
The brush that you're painting.
The current brush? No, this one is a friend of mine that he gave it to me. But I have similar ones like this. This one I just happened to grab. There's a nice color.
And Elliot Johnson makes an interesting point. No matter how intelligent AI can get, it will never top the creative mind of a human artist.
I believe that's true. But never say never. You don't know in 50 years. You never know.
Or it's like 20, 30 years from now, a robot's going to create a art masterpiece, and all the artists are going to go, impossible.
I mean, there's an approach to aesthetics. You know, I think there's a way to break it down.
Hi, Aaron.
Hello.
I saw you do a little lion animation in Procreate a while ago. Have you done many little animations in Procreate since then?
I put out a Procreate course on my approach to painting in Procreate, and in that course, I did some animation. I haven't done a ton. I haven't done a ton of animation, to be honest with you, because I've been working on other projects, illustration projects, painting projects. But I plan on doing more. There we go.
And Anissa's asking, would you be selling any Photoshop brush files?
If you go to creatureartteacher.com, I've got hundreds of Photoshop brushes, foliage brushes, water brushes, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
There's even like there's
Texture
one I created
brushes.
called like digital brushes, where it looks all like crystallized kind of styles,
Yeah,
like that.
all kinds of stuff. So yes, I sell my brushes. So right now I'm just really laying in color, just a lot of random color, and I'll probably pull it all together. You can see once I turn this off, it'll start coming together. But I'm going to add atmosphere and little details, but I need to lay in the base. The base is this, this groundwork of color that I want to work on. And if I turn this off, you can see it's really kind of yucky at this point. But it'll come together. And I'm going to probably leave that in there because I like that underdrawing. And it adds texture. And so I'll just keep working with that.
And Elliot Johnson is asking, speaking of animation, how is Snow Bear coming along? For the newcomers.
Well, yeah, because we just talked about that.
Yeah.
Snow Bear is coming along. I've just been working on other projects, so I've had to jump off of it periodically, like I have now, and we will be getting back to it once I get this. The main thing I have to get done right now is this illustration project, which is why I'm doing it during a live stream. So I'm doing that, and when it's done, then I'm jumping back over to Snow Bear, and we're going to do a big push on Snow Bear.
What's going to be the light source point for this painting?
In the upper right, over my right shoulder. So let me turn this off really quick. Turn this on, and if I turn this up, right now it's set to multiply. Let me set it to normal. You can see that it's lit from the right side over the right shoulder. Everything along the left of each building is in shadow, but everything along the right is lit, and then the buildings themselves will be casting shadows onto one another. Okay, so that's part of some of the lighting that we have to figure out.
Caitlin Moran makes an interesting point about back to the Back to the Future's depiction of the future of 2015.
Look at that. That's how it looks. Just the color right now. Looks pretty bad.
It's,
See? But turning everything on, that's what you get.
nice.
It is quite nice.
Yeah, quite nice. She says that it's visually different, but they did get some stuff right. The 80s vision of the Back to the Future, the future of that is blocky and big, when our present designs are sleeker. That's because the creators used a 30-year nostalgia effect to have the aesthetics somewhat 80s in their future timeline. The creative team did get holograms, excessive movie sequels, dock walkers by a droid, and non-handheld video games right. That is true.
Yep.
Probably one of my favorite bits is when Marty plays
Marty!
when he plays that Western arcade game at the diner, and the two kids are like, "That's a baby's toy." Raphael Andrade says, once you said your custom brushes needed a little fixing on Procreate. Can you make a video explaining on what you did to them on Procreate?
Sure. Yes, I could do that.
You could possibly make that a YouTube video.
Yes, we'll do that as YouTube video. Because they don't need that much. It's really just, and some of them you don't need to do anything. So it's really just tweaking them to what you like. Hey Aaron, I just became a member on Creature Art Teacher yesterday. Working at Disney, did you prefer animation or concept art? I'm trying to decide which major to study. To be honest with you, I preferred animation. I love both, but I love creating animation.
And Vivi says, "Hi guys from the UK. I'm staying quarantined at home, and you bring light to my life. Thank you for your insightful videos."
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome. Erica says, "I found most of the brushes I imported so far into Procreate work just fine.
Yeah.
For a couple, I adjusted the spacing and size a little bit."
Right. Yeah, thank you, Erica. Yeah, I think they do work pretty well.
And Katarina says, "Hello, Aaron.
Hello.
I want to say to you that you're really inspiring, and also want to ask, what piece of advice would you give to an inspiring animator?"
Aspiring animator.
Aspiring.
Just work hard. Do a lot of animation. And be honest with your work. Don't get impatient. It takes time to become a master at it. So don't get impatient. And just keep doing it. And over time you'll get there. I had a lot of animators that, they work a year or two and all of a sudden they want to be directors or whatever, and it just doesn't work that way.
And Don Higgins has a tech question for me. Says, when live streaming on Facebook and working on iPad Pro/Procreate, is it just an app so that the Procreate work is seen during the live stream, or is there special equipment beyond my phone camera necessary? We've done a couple of Procreate live streams, as well as we use this stuff for a course for Procreate, but I don't know if there's specifically an app to allow you to stream from the iPad itself. But what we do, if we want to do iPad stuff, is Dad has a Mac computer that is able to remote link the visuals from the iPad to each other, I think it's called like Reflection 3 or something like that. Nick would need to correct that for me.
It's Reflection.
It's Reflection. But you just set that app up on your iPad, and so whatever your iPad sees, it'll wirelessly show it onto your Mac computer. And from there you can stream through the software that we're currently using, which is OBS, or Open Broadcast Software. And so that's the way that we do it. But I don't know if there's an app specifically for the iPad where you can stream from the iPad itself. So
This arch is off. Whoops.
because I'm not much of a iPad or iPhone user.
You okay?
I'm good.
All right.
Long live Android.
So all I'm doing in here is I'm just going to start throwing in color in this background as we get further and further into the background. A lot of it's going to be atmosphere back there.
Caitlin Mariah, who mentioned about Back to the Future earlier, said, I love Back to the Future. I met Biff and some of the other cast members, and he called me a butthead. It was awesome. Lucky.
So I'm just throwing in different bits of color. And I'm going to make them, it's going to get grayer and grayer as you get further back. And I'll go in with lights and darks, and you'll start to see the depth start to get created back there, and it'll feel like buildings.
Vivi says, I saw your video about Wacom 1. I was thinking of buying it as my first drawing tablet since it is affordable. Do you have any advice? Are you happy with it so far?
Yeah, that was the video. I'm really happy with it. I liked. I really loved right from the beginning just the simplicity of setup, and it's and the interface, everything works. It's great. It's really great. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with it.
Does Reflector work on Windows 2? I don't think it does. I think Reflector is a Mac exclusive.
So some of these other buildings back here, I'm just going to indicate really quickly. I can go in and shore them up later. You'll notice I'm just going to get scribbly with them. These are buildings way in the distance. In the distance. In the distance. You'll see how loose you can be. Ooh, I just snorted. So I just want to make sure. Just want to make sure. Oh, idiot.
God, we're so weird. Oh, Reflector does work on Windows? I've never heard of that. I need to check that out then. And he says, asking, what was the process that you had to go through when Disney hired you? Every time I run into one of the animators who also work for Disney, they each have a different story. So what is yours?
I was an intern. So I came in a little bit differently. I went to art school as an illustrator. I never had any intention of working for Disney. And so my story goes that, Disney, they had kind of tapped out all of the animation schools, meaning there wasn't really any, there was only two really in North America that they were hiring from. It was Sheridan College and Cal Arts. I think School of Visual Arts was in there a little bit, but I don't know that they were regularly recruiting from there. And so they decided to go and start looking at other schools around the country that had a good foundation in drawing and painting. And so I was lucky enough to be one of the schools that they picked. I went to the Ringling College of Art and Design, and once again, like I said, I was an illustrator. I really had no intention of animating. I never really thought of it. And let me change my brush here.
By the way, I think Ronnie forgot his sunglasses.
Huh?
Ronnie forgot his sunglasses.
Oh, yeah, it looks like he did. And so they were looking for artists that had a good foundation in drawing and painting, which I did. And so I put together the portfolio. I did a whole bunch of animal drawings and figure drawings, and I thought maybe I'd be a background painter, and so that's how I started, and I got accepted, and I went in and I was teamed up with Glenn Keane, who's a wonderful hand-drawn animator, 2D animator. He's one of the best in the world. And so lucky for me, he was my mentor. And so when I sat with him, I was instantly inspired by what animation could do. And I decided that's what I wanted to do for my career. And so, I worked really hard during this internship. And it by the end of it, I was hired. I got hired. The internship was only 6 weeks, and so in 6 weeks, I was able to learn enough animation that they hired me to come in as a cleanup assistant, and so I started doing cleanup work, which is the work that you do when on the rough drawings. You clean up the rough drawings in animation. They become the drawings that you see on the screen. And so that's how I got in, and from there I just we started working on different films, and from there the rest is history. I worked on a whole bunch of different films through the 90s, starting with Beauty and the Beast and the Rescuers Down Under, and then worked my way up through. And why is that? I'm creating like this weird image here. Or is it? Oh, it's just part of that. I see. There we go. I see. And so as I worked on those films, I each film I gained a little bit more knowledge. I was promoted to animator, then I became a supervising animator, and over time, I eventually became a director. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice. And Jenny Hall asks, "Hey-os, how is everyone?" We are good. Still waking up a little bit, I think.
Oh, you are?
I am. I don't know about you, but I am.
No, I went to bed pretty early last night.
I went to bed at midnight.
Ish.
I mean, I think I officially fell asleep around 12:30, but.
Hey guys, how are you? How exactly do you construct the perspective grid for a drawing? Deciding the points and directions. A lot of references? Question mark. To explain the whole perspective grid would take a whole other live stream. But I really do. I do a sketch out of my head first. That's how I did it for this one, and then I took what I had in my head and I visualized where that horizon line would be, and I basically created this right here. So I took the sketch and laid it in a much larger space and found where I was visualizing my vanishing points to be, and then I just made sure that they were all very, very consistent by creating this grid like this. Then I took that grid that's in the middle and I brought it in to here, and that's how I shored everything up. And so that's how we're getting an image that has proper perspective.
Nice.
So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to start working now. I'm going to start working on top. So now I've got something laid out. I can actually start creating this image, this city image. I'm actually going to take the drawing part of it and I'm going to knock it back. So this is going to look really rough. But I've got something now that I can work with. And now it's going to be fun. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to start creating details and light. That's the biggest thing. I want to create light. Aziz, I want light. So I'm going to create a layer on top. I'm going to set it to multiply. And I'm going to give it a cool shadow. Cool, cool, cool shadow.
Cool, cool shadow.
Do you always paint colors on a normal blended layer? Or would you separate colors into color blended layer with luminosity layer beneath? No, I just do it on regular. Actually, I'm not sure what you're talking about. No, but let me do this. Spacing. I always just keep it normal. I really approach a lot of my there we go. I approach a lot of my painting, digital painting, as if I'm painting traditionally.
Elizabeth Morris asks, "Hi guys.
Hello.
Do you know if studios hire remote artists or animators, or do you need to live in LA, etc.?"
No, a lot of studios are doing remote. Lots of studios.
She's asking because I'm an Orlando native living in New Hampshire. Thanks for the awesome courses.
Oh, you're welcome. But no, a lot of studios are hiring remotely.
When you worked at Disney, did you have any piece of animation that you were most proud of creating?
Oh yeah, I mean I've had, there's one that I always talk about. Nick's tired of hearing about it, but it was a scene I did in Beauty and the Beast, where the Beast is getting bandaged, and Belle is trying to bandage his arm, and he starts screaming, and they get into this big argument, this big fight, and it's one of my favorite pieces because it really opened up a lot of doors for me, and I learned a lot while animating it, and I'll always kind of cherish that experience that I had creating it. And it was a lot of Glenn Keane, really, that it wasn't, it wasn't me, it was Glenn. But he really helped me raise my game. And it was awesome. Awesome experience. So what I'm doing right now is I'm thinking about, okay, how are these shadows and everything, how are they hitting the buildings? So right now I'm just creating a light and dark layer.
Did you have a hard time transitioning into digital art?
No, only because I started working on a Cintiq. And I really enjoyed working on that. It was very natural to me. And that really helped a lot. Being able to do that. And right in here, I'm just going to make up shadow shapes. And then, shadows coming off of the eaves. So it wasn't a bad transition for me. So you can see as I do this, you can start to see the the light start to come out.
And Ava Buffington says, just arrived. What's today's adventure?
Well, today's adventure is doing a cityscape illustration that I'm doing for a book series, a choose your own adventure kind of series. And this is the city that the adventures take place in. And so this is a city bridge, basically, where everything happens. So you can see as I start breaking up values, like creating shadow areas that are in light will start to pop out. So I don't need a lot of drawing as long as I can create my light and shadow patterns. And I'll do this very quickly because we got a lot of stuff to do over the top.
From the top, people.
YouTube question: what advice would you give to a high school student working on making a portfolio for art schools? It looks like fart. I saw fart there all of a sudden. Just put your best work in. Don't put quantity, only quality. You know, put together really good animal drawing. Figure drawing if you've got it. Don't put in cartoons. Don't put in characters of films. Put in realism. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see cartoons. Everybody thinks, especially young people, that they want to see, you know, a lot of cartoon characters. Do not, and I repeat, do not put in anime. That's not what the studios want to see right now. So, you know, put together your best work. Realism is the best thing you can put in there, and just go for it. So I'm also going to put in a light layer. Just going to start roughing it in. I want a sense of light. Even where the shadows are, you can see I can overlap the shadows and you almost get like a glow, like the light's fighting to get into those shadow areas. See that? Look at that light. Aziz, light.
Aziz, light.
There, now we start to get a nice sense of, whoa. I'm doing a nice warm light.
Do you work with texture brushes on multiply mode on the roofs?
I might. I really just figure it out as I go. For that, something like that I might do. Oh, show.
What do you think of the live action movies that use CGI animals, such as like Call of the Wild? Why do you think they're doing movies this way rather than having real animals but just animate the lips, like Babe or Homeward Bound?
Because if you're going to go that far, you might as well just do the whole animal, and it's really hard to get a real animal to do what you need. Now, that being said, you've got to do it right, and I don't know that Call of the Wild did it quite right. I think they kind of misfired on a few, and I hope someone's not offended that's worked on it, that's listening. But I do feel like if you're gonna make that step, make that decision, you got to go in all the way, and you really, unfortunately, I feel like it hit some uncanny valley areas. Where the dog just really separated too much from the real world. You got to make sure you do it all the way. You know, Planet of the Apes really did a great job of it.
Vivi says, I always find it difficult to draw buildings and backgrounds, but I would love to improve. I prefer characters because they have personality, and you can see almost from their eyes their story. How can I make a background interesting as a character?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do here. It's giving it good light and shadow, texture. You want it to be a place that you would like to explore, right? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, even though I'm just laying in the foundations. I want it to be a place that you would like to explore. So the first thing I want to do is just create interesting, really appealing light and shadow. And then from there, I can go in, and then we're going to create details and little, eventually I'm going to get into this so much, I'm going to start really kind of exploring all the little alleys and creating little things down in there, and it's going to get a lot of fun. YouTube question. Well, here we go. They said high school student trying to get into art schools, not. They said high school students trying to get into art schools, not the studios. FYI, I know that, and if that was Nick, it's still the same advice. In which case, I say most of what you said still applies, but it's mostly seeing your sense of potential. Of course it is, but why not put together the right portfolio too on top of it? And I still stick with don't put anime in there.
Ava's asking, I've been wanting to make prints of my work to sell at markets, events, even online. But I'm hoping to find a cheap and efficient way of doing so. Would you recommend if I bought my own printer or going through a company? If so, which ones would you recommend?
Well, Printful is a good company that we use. One of the great things about Printful is it's print on demand, so we don't have to deal with any of the printing. If someone wants a print, Printful prints it, and then we get, they charge a certain price, and then we are able to make a little bit of money off of each print. Beyond that, you could do your own. We have our own large format printer, but those are cost prohibitive too. So we happened to come across a company that was getting rid of theirs, and so we were able to get it for a good deal. But mostly, those printers are in the $4,000 to $5,000 range to purchase, and so that's tough for a lot of people. I would recommend going through a print-on-demand company like Printful, and then you don't really have to worry about it.
Sean Sicorna asks, when you're on vacation, do you bring your tools and illustrate places you have visited, or take photos and illustrate later?
I do both.
You do both?
Yeah, I do both.
Anise asks, whenever you had to do any animations, did you have to use LAVs or live action vids for reference, or did you have to experiment and jot down thumbnails and create based on all the plan outs made?
It really depended on the film. Probably the most live action reference we had to use was Pocahontas. They really required it. They shot a lot of the film, if not the whole film, in live action first, and then we had to go through and follow the live action that they shot. But we could add our own little flair to it. We rarely just went directly over the live action. We would look at it and then push it to match what we needed. Beyond that, there we go. So you can see, I'm just going to segue real quick. You can see how just adding the light and shadow, it really starts to bring this together. So, but anyway, and so Pocahontas, we we had to follow a lot of live action, but a lot of times, you might come across a shot that you're creating that you're having a little bit of difficulty with, and shooting a little live action helps. And so we would do that quite a bit. There's a shot where the Beast was leading Belle to her new place to stay, and she says, well, what's in the West Wing? And he goes, it's forbidden. And he turns around and throws his cape, and then he pulls it back and walks back around in a long shot. And so I animated that. So I had my friend Jim Jackson do the guy with the cape, do the Beast, and then I recorded that and used that as my reference.
Lidmill says, hi.
Hey, Ludmill.
So happy you're doing Tuesdays now. Just wanted to say that Sarasota workshop was awesome, and I can't wait for the next one. Cheers.
It was awesome to see you, brother.
Is that how you pronounce it, Ludmill?
Ludmill, yeah, I think it's Ludmill. I don't know if we're saying it right, but it's always great seeing you. Ludmill was an awesome, did some beautiful, beautiful paintings. I'd like to see how the food truck came out.
Kirk Michael says, hi, Aaron and Dustin.
Hey, Kirk.
Hope you're all doing great, and hope your dad is on the mend. I'm at work, so I'll catch the stream later. Take care, everyone. Great perspective background, mate. Cheerio for now.
Yeah, my father, Marshall, is sick today. We were afraid that he had the virus because he had all the symptoms of it, and we got him to the doctor yesterday. It turns out he doesn't have the virus, but they want him quarantined, so he's upstairs.
Well, that's good. At least that he's not.
Yeah.
He's not infected, so.
And so so we're all kind of quarantined here, and haven't left the house, and I haven't left the house in 3 days.
Has he improved? Is he doing better?
He's doing well. He was doing better until last night, and then he got a little worse again. So my father's 80. He's going to be 81. So you get a little, you get a little worried about stuff like that. And but he's strong as an ox. And so he wanted me to make him a whiskey, a hot toddy. I made him a whiskey and ginger. It's whiskey, ginger, lemon juice, and honey. Then you heat it up, and that helps kind of draw everything out. And so we did that, and he slept pretty good last night, as far as I know.
Actually, sounds rather interesting.
Twitch question: how do you actually draw the perspective lines? Oh, I use the line tool. This tool right here, right over on the left. There's your line tool, and just go, and you create a line. And I create a whole grid that way.
Martin Berger asks, how do you paint the shadows? Just a transparent gray, or is it the same color, just darker? For example,
no, the shadows I'm using a cool gray right here, and I'm on a layer that's set to multiply. And then I'm painting right over the local color that I've just created. Like so. And you can see I flop it back and forth quite a bit.
Zone G?
You alright?
I have some of these names. I'm so sorry if I butcher anybody's names.
Dustin gets so paranoid that he's
It's terrible.
It's not terrible. You're doing all right, son. It's okay.
Yes. Have you ever dealt with the complexities of selling work to a person or gallery overseas? And if so, how do you deal with customs or exporting licenses, etc.?
Yeah, I haven't dealt with that a whole lot to be able to just say, hey, do this, this, or this. We've sell stuff to a few things overseas. We had some actual pieces that we sent actually just recently, and there's a whole customs form that you fill out. I don't recall it being super difficult. Nick knows more about it than me. It's not. I don't remember it being super difficult. Like I said, just it's a kind of a pain in the butt. Yes.
Caitlin asks, why did Disney decide to make Pocahontas heavily referenced? Was there an aesthetic they wanted to pull from?
Yeah, they wanted to feel a little bit more live action, I think. I don't know. To be honest, I'm speaking out of my butt. I really have no idea. I don't know why they chose that way. I wasn't a big fan of it. I love the directors dearly. It's Eric Goldberg and Mike Gabriel, and I know that they had their own reasoning, but I really don't know why.
Like, they're great guys, but come on.
No, I don't want to say that either, because they are great guys. You're quite nice.
You're quite nice.
But it was just, as an animator, it was a little bit stifling, and I think they wanted a little bit more control in the acting, to be honest, and that was their approach.
What did your family think of you pursuing art?
My family supported me pursuing art. Yeah, there was no problem there.
Yeah, our family is pretty much an art family through and through.
Yeah, a bunch of hippies.
Bunch of hippies.
So we're getting there. So once I hit this stage, now I want to jump back over to my lighted layer and actually get some more light in here.
Oh, Zungi says I got it the first time. Sweet.
What's
I
that?
pronounced his name correctly the first time.
Oh, good.
Zungi. Have you found that the term "on vacation" doesn't really apply to you or to artists in general, since you always have a sketchbook with you or go to places for art or selling art? My first wife never understood.
Hence the term first wife.
hence the term first wife.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean I can turn it off. I can turn it off pretty easily actually, but yeah, that's true. I'll never be with somebody that doesn't understand what it is that I do. That's definitely for sure. And I know your pain. That's a tough one.
Martin says, thanks for the answer about the shadows. But when you paint in acrylics and oils, do you paint a thin, transparent layer of gray for the shadows too?
No, I paint direct. So I'm not doing a lot of I paint within the gray spectrum, but I'm thinking more in terms of warms and cools.
Vivi says, without art during these difficult times, we would be driven in insanity.
Who said that?
Vivi.
Oh, Vivi.
Vivi Heinemann. And, yeah, I think a lot of people would go nuts.
Yeah, I think artists have this blessed gift because you get to you can tune out the world and sit down and start creating, and it's really kind of this awesome experience. So what I'm trying to do now is just create a suggestion of buildings in the background by painting in the sky.
Oh, Zone G. Oh. That is Zone G. My mistake. See, now I made the mistake.
That's all right. Hey, you can't expect to know every name. YouTube question. Try pronouncing my name. Boglarka Balog. Boglarka Balog. YouTube comment. This looks so good. How long did it take you? How long have we been at it? We've been at it 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to just add like little bits of light poking through. There we go.
Martin Berger comments, everything is freaking out about the crisis. Meanwhile, artists, did something happen? I was painting.
Not quite the same, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
We're all out of questions. Ridge is looking nice.
Thank you. It's getting there. You can see how quickly the form, it starts to take shape once you start adding your light and your shadow. So I try to get to it as soon as I can.
He's quite nice.
Hey, it's great, nice. Yeah. And I'll turn this on just to make sure I'm keeping my perspective right with the added buildings. They're all staying within in the perspective. Twitch question. I'm just wondering, how can someone stay productive in quarantine? I'm trying really hard to do my student film, and it's not easy being productive at home. Hey, man, if you can't be productive at home with no distractions, I'm assuming you don't have any distractions, then I don't know what to tell you.
You're fresh out of luck there, bud.
Now, if you're being distracted a lot, then yeah, that's tough. Kick those distractions in the butt.
Jenny Hall asked, Dustin, what do you think about the photography competition I sent you? That definitely piqued my interest. I'm definitely going to look more into that, see what I can do with that. And Sean Sarcona asks, were you an early adapter to technology, or reluctant when programs like Photoshop and Illustrator came into the mix?
I was very reluctant. I was always very afraid of technology.
Mom loved it though.
Yeah. My wife Karen, Dustin's mother, she loved it. She was right into it.
And I was pretty much right behind. Hey, Aaron. Anissa asks, do you have any favorite flowers or plants?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if I have favorite. I do have favorite flowers and plants, I guess. I mean, there's certain. I love a lot of northern plants. I love tropical as well, but there's something about the shapes of certain plants, like windswept cedars and things like that, windswept pines, that get these great kind of bonsai shapes to them that I really find aesthetically pleasing. Turn that back on, make sure I'm drawing in the right perspective. There we go. Getting there. Hello from Norway. Why are you not using Corel Painter? Why are you not using Corel Painter? Because I don't want to. There you go. That's my answer.
I don't like it.
Because I don't want to. All right. I'm going to throw in a little right over the top.
He says, "What's northern flowers?" With a whole bunch of question marks.
Well,
Just look up northern flowers, I guess.
yeah, just look up northern flowers. Come on, dude.
Google northern flowers, I guess. Don Higgins says, "There's a great story about Rockwell's wife carrying out a painting from the studio. He stops her and he says, 'Hey, I just finished that.' To which she replies, 'Yes, and I just sold it. Get back to work.'" Do you have someone like that in your life?
No. Yeah, Nick.
Nick.
But in a good way. That's not a bad thing.
Hi guys, I'm glad you're all holding up well. Aaron, when I set to multiply, how do you prevent overlap? I notice when I pick up uptake pen handset, I get like a marker effect. I see when you do paint your shadows, it's like a one tone.
Yeah, well, it's just I'm just working it, so I get that one too, and I get the same marker effect, but sometimes I use that to my advantage as well. And yeah, so it gets a little tough, but yeah, you can do it. I use it to my advantage.
I said, Anissa was asking about the northern flowers. Says, yeah, because I'm not from the U.S. I'm from Trinidad.
Okay. You can find you're online right now, so you can find the information, right? I'm going to give this a little atmosphere, this layer. A little bit of atmosphere down towards the... what I've done, I've set it to a lock. So it gets warmer. But watch what I can do. I've locked the layer. I'm going to go nice and cool as it gets down towards the horizon. So I'm going to cool off that atmosphere. Especially as it recedes back here. Give it a little bit of depth. And deep atmosphere. Go back and forth. So I can get a little bit more out of that. There we go. So you can see I'm just starting to create a little atmospheric depth with it.
Is there any chance you can zoom in a little bit, please?
Yep, there we go. Yeah, Nick says home can be full of distractions. It's a learned skill to get good at working at home. Not everyone excels at it. Yes, I was just assuming that it was a young person because they're working on their student film or on their thesis project or a short film. I assumed it was a thesis project. So, yeah, yes, Nick, I know because Nick works at home with a young child and wife and pets and Steve. And I work at home as well, but everyone is pretty good at staying out of my hair. So I'm going to go through now, and I'm going to put another layer on top, and I'm going to go back to my overlay, and I'm going to add some more brighter. I'm going to change my brush. Some brighter highlights, but in places like. Oh, how about I turn it all the way up? There we go. How big is this? Mid-size. No wonder this has been bugging me. I forgot to blow this back up. I've been working at 6 inches by 6 inches. Ugh! I was like, why are the textures so strong? So I'm going to blow this up to 18 inches by 17.6. Now watch this. It's going to take a little while to figure out. It's thinking.
I'm thinking.
There we go. Now, let's jump back to this layer. Why did it go purple on me right there? That's weird.
You want purple?
Yeah, I got these 2 squares.
I think I see it.
Yeah. Alright, I'm going to do this again. Image. Size. Let's make that 18. 18 inches. Okay. There we go. Something screwed up there. So now, yeah. Yeah, so now I can do a much better. Much better.
Raphael says, use Preserve Details 2.0. It's an awesome tool for scaling.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
These are for next time.
So I'm just going to start adding these little details in here like this. Little bits that I know are going to catch light. Twitch question. I'm working on an animation for a commission. That's my first work. I don't know if I should let him know every little progress I make or if I should just show him the work when it's done. Well, first of all, I hope you're charging enough. But no, you definitely don't want to show them the work when it's done because depending on how many notes you get the person gets. You want to show them the concept, then you want to show the rough animation, and then you want to show the finished animation before color, and then you show the finished project. That's how I do it. And don't let them take advantage of you saying, oh, I'll give you credit and that's your payment. You should be getting paid with dollars, with money. Don't let people take advantage of you. can start going in and adding these little bits of detail like so, which are kind of a lot of fun. Once again, it's a lot of suggested detail. What are you laughing at?
Anissa just made a good point. Exposure doesn't buy food.
No, exposure does not buy food. I've had plenty of people in my younger years offer the fact that they were giving me exposure. And I told them what they could do with their exposure, and I walked away.
How do I get motivated to start drawing after a full day of work? Work is not drawing related, and I only have time during the weekends.
How much do you love drawing? The fact that you love drawing should be motivation. So that's, I mean, at the risk of sounding kind of jerky about it, that's really what it takes. If it takes you having to go, I don't feel like drawing, all right, then don't draw. But if that's the feeling you get all the time, then maybe drawing isn't for you. I'm going to try something here. Can I leave that okay? Come up here. Aaron, did you ever travel for research at your time at Disney? Yes, I did. I did a lot of travel for research. For Brother Bear, we traveled all over North America and Alaska. North America, including Alaska, I should say, because that is part of North America. Yeah, we did a lot.
Weinberg says exposure. That is the reason you die in the desert.
That's right.
Vivian says, the instant you said to not let people take advantage of you, there was a mini flood of hearts and likes here on Facebook.
Well, it's coming from a place of experience, too. I've experienced it myself. There's nothing I hate more than people that don't take art seriously as a profession and want to take advantage of you. It's no bueno.
And to follow up, Anissa, who said exposure doesn't buy food, Caitlin Mariah followed that with, or toilet paper in this dystopian economy.
Yeah. So, you know what? I think that's too bright. I'm going to pull that back.
The whole flooding of people buying toilet paper has been crazy.
It's actually ridiculous. It's not a flood. We're not going through a flood, people. And there's, the truck lines are not being shut down.
No.
Nothing's being shut down. It's just, it's just ridiculous.
Matt Yoakum says,
Dwight Yoakam.
just joining now. What's the new live stream schedule these days?
Well, the new schedule is 9 o'clock a.m. every Tuesday until we get through this whole thing.
And Fridays are the same day and time.
Yeah, Fridays are the same.
Just new.
So
new Tuesday.
so you can join us every Tuesday at 9 a.m. our time. That way we can talk to our friends in Asia a little easier. We like that. We like being able to do that, eh?
Oh yeah, it's a really good job there, bud.
Yeah.
Martin's asking, do people buy tons of toilet paper in the USA too?
Oh yeah, it's happening all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening all over the world. It's ridiculous.
I think it's because it's the rumor that China shut down the toilet paper making factories there.
They don't make toilet paper just in China.
Yeah, but that's what the rumors were going around
It's
about
just
it.
ridiculous.
Because people think China makes literally everything.
So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to go through and hit little details. Going around all the little windows. And once again, it says I'm not trying to do like a CG rendering of a cityscape. I want it to have like a painting. I want it to have a painted feel. So I'm creating, I want it to feel handmade. So you can see it, all the line work is not perfect, but it's close enough.
Barnes asking, I wonder if they buy toilet paper and soap now. What did they use before? The answer for that is they used seashells.
Yeah, the three seashell method.
The three seashells, yeah.
Or the two seashells, or whatever the hell it was.
I think it's the three seashells. I think it's three, if I recall.
Hey Aaron, just a random specific question. How do you build fogs on your drawing? Type of layers and colors, etc.? Yes, both. And I set my opacity levels lower. Nick said that he once tried to pay his electric bill with exposure, but they shut off the power. We got in big trouble at Ringling one time. You know, I went to school with a guy that was very serious about his art and his business, and he and I got into business together while we were students, and we would do different jobs together, and someone, you know, we went in for this interview, took time off from class to go for this freelance job interview, and it really turned into an exposure type situation, and it really ticked us off, and he just lost his cool. My friend did during the interview, and just, you know, started yelling at the person, said we're not a charity, and yada yada, and the people ended up getting really offended and called the school and complained about us, and we went back to the school and said, sorry, we're not changing our tune, and it actually worked out in our favor, and the school never worked with that person again.
You said this was when you were attending that college?
Yeah, when I went to Ringling.
Uncle Travis says, "You're up too early. Ugh, you woke me up with all of your drawing."
Change time zones, Travis.
Come back to Florida. Andy Nicole says, Aaron, thanks for going live and giving us something positive to view for a while today.
You are welcome. There. That helps a little bit. So I'm just adding little bits of detail now. It's kind of, and this is where it takes time. I'm not going to be able to get through all of this in the time that we have to stream today, but you'll at least seen how I get started on doing these cityscapes and how much fun they can be. I do not like this pattern in here. That looks really bad.
Anissa asks, hey Aaron, have you ever had anyone rudely tell you that your art wasn't good enough? How did you handle such a situation, if so?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Have you ever had anyone brutally tell you that your art, quote unquote, wasn't good enough? And if so, how did you handle such a situation?
I listened to him. You listen to him. You know, don't be offended. You know, don't be so sensitive that rude people upset you. I mean, first of all, everyone has a different way of delivering their message, and I've had it delivered very bluntly, and I've had it delivered very softly. But in every instance, you want to listen to what they have to say, and they might have something that has a point. You know, I remember I had a person that owned a print company, and I wanted to do prints for them, and he told me that he wouldn't do any of my work if they were if he said if he knew that my work was going to be the how did he put it? If he knew he was going to be a complete fail, if he was going to put out a print and he knew it was going to be a complete failure, he said my work wasn't even good enough to be a complete failure in their lineup. That's how he put it. Meaning it wasn't even good enough to be their worst. And so, and before he said that to me, he said, "Do you want me to lie to you, or do you want me to tell you the truth?" And I said, "I want you to tell me the truth." And so he told me very blunt like that. And I think he gauged me. He wanted to see how I would take it. And I took it. I just said, "Okay, well, how can I get better?" And that's where I think he was impressed. And he says, "Well, I know you're going to college. Go to college, get better, learn what you can from your instructors, and then come back and see me." Well, it's funny because I ended up becoming an animator instead. Through learning at college, I got better. But because I listened to what he had, even though I had to say, even though it was blunt and could be construed as rude, it was true. I had a lot to learn. A lot of young people, they don't have the eye yet to see how much they really do need to learn. And they think they're ready for things that they're just not ready for yet. And that just comes with wisdom and age, and you know, over time you'll start to learn to see that. So, yeah, that's how you handle it. Handle it with a grain of salt, with open ears, no emotion, and thank them for their honest opinion. Yeah, I don't like that point on there. No, that was stupid.
But how do you handle people that are trolling about it? They're not professional. Like they're not they don't have like a critique or anything. They're just like, "I don't like it because I don't like it."
Oh, I just block them. Yeah, just block them. There's no. I don't need
just
to deal
walk
with
away.
that. Yeah, I don't need to deal with that crap.
Don't even give them the satisfaction.
It's not even satisfaction. I don't give them the time of day. If you don't have anything constructive to say, I don't care how you say it, but if you don't have anything constructive to say, then you go away. I don't see you again, and you don't see me again. Oh, I just want to let you guys know that on the brand new lighting course that we just put out last week, or this past week, the Spanish and English subtitles are now part of the course. So if you are first language Spanish speaking and want those Spanish subtitles, then it's there. And if you are hearing impaired, English speaking, then the subtitles are there. So I hope you enjoy that. Knock yourself out. Get in there. Go do it. Do it. Do it.
Just do it. Vivi comments, "I hate clients when they tell you, but everything is made digitally. It's so easy. You just one click on Photoshop and you make it. I just don't understand these people.
Well, I do. They don't understand.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not that prevalent. It's not. Most people understand. If you have to be smart enough not to get mixed up with a crappy client. Don't get mixed up with crappy clients. The only people you can blame when you get mixed up with something like that is yourself. You gotta scrutinize your client before you get into bed with them and create a job, because it's if you're going to be able to tell if they're going to be a bad client or not, usually right off the bat.
I remember there was a few times where I would talk to somebody about like my past work as a 3D depth artist, and they would ask me like, "Oh, what's a 3D depth artist?" Like, "Oh, I convert a movie from 2D into 3D," and like once or twice somebody asked like, "Why would you need a job to push a button?" I'd be like, "All right, I'm going to give you the whole head to toe information of how this goes."
Yeah, because you can't blame them because they don't know.
Yeah,
So
and
it's up to
also a
you
lot
to
of
educate
people,
them.
and a lot of people out there think that it's the 3D cameras, but
Right.
a lot of but that's actually a lot more expensive using a 3D camera than it is to create it through a computer actually.
Right.
So. Tiffany Zimmerman is asking, what are you working on right now?
I'm working on a cityscape. So
You're
just
working on the lights?
Yeah, putting lights in. I'm just jumping all around now at this point, adding details and just over, I'm going to be adding flags and textures and all kinds of stuff to this. I want to make sure that and the other thing too is I'll flop it around just to see how it's feeling. Yeah, it's feeling pretty good. And the perspective is all feeling nice. And I'll just keep working it until I feel like we've got something good.
Hey, Detlef is here.
Hey, Detlef.
He says, "Hey guys, I'm going to try my hand at charcoal drawing tonight. A
Nice.
big pelican portrait in black and white from our trip to Sarasota. Any tips on how to maintain the vibrant white accents in a mess of black charcoal? It seems hard to keep the highlights, and I hope Marshall and Vedanta are doing better."
Use a really good kneaded eraser and pull out where those highlights are going to be. Don't grind the charcoal in, and do it on a toned paper if you can. And that way, I try to use a toned, I usually work on a toned mat board. And that way it has a good surface to take the charcoal, usually a warm tone, mid-tone. And so when you erase that charcoal away, now you're down to your mid-tone, and you can take a white charcoal pencil and draw your highlights into that, and it creates a really nice look that way. Let me show you really quickly. If I can go to my Let me go to my website really quick. Here's Nick. I've got here's our course. There's our light course, by the way, right there. Hey, look at that. I'm going to go to the gallery. Animal art gallery. It's going to take a minute to come up. But this is one here. This is a really big charcoal. This is
it's a Savannah Sparrow.
Probably 3.5 feet by 2.5 feet wide. It is a Savannah Sparrow. And it's like this big. It's giant.
Really?
Yeah, it's really big.
Why did I not see that one? Did you sell that?
I did this while you were in Canada. Yeah, I sold it, did it, and painted it, and drew it, and sold it while you were in Canada. But these white areas are just really erased away. This is all done on brown board, you can see. And roughed in, and then I draw with a dark charcoal pencil, and then the areas that I want to be bright, I just make sure it's all erased away and really clean, and then I go in with that white charcoal pencil and draw in the highlights, and you can see it creates a really nice effect. Once again, this is a giant drawing. I've got other ones that I did the same with. This lion, I did the same thing, all done with charcoal, working over the top.
Then there was the charcoal course that we did.
Yep, the charcoal course. I've got more charcoals in here. Pretty sure they're in here. They might not be in here. These are all different. Yeah, this one. Once again, all done in. This is a really big drawing as well. And you just erase away all the areas that you don't want to be dark, and you darken the areas that you want even darker. And then you just go in with the white charcoal pencil, like I can see what I did with the teeth and around the fur and the eyes, and you hit that and you brighten them up, and you can really get a great effect that way. Here's an old one. This is an old oil painting that I did as a commission. A friend of mine loves hippos and wanted me to paint a hippo for him. And I just gotten back from Kenya the year before and had a lot of photo reference of hippos in the Mara River, and so I painted this guy, and it was a lot of fun, all done in oil. This one took about 2 weeks to paint, but it was a lot of fun. Jumping around, here's an acrylic of a leopard. Just different I love using different mediums. Here's another acrylic. This is a very small acrylic sketch of one of the elephants I encountered in Africa. Here's a cattle egret. Quick little acrylic sketch. Here I was really focusing on light and temperature within shadows. You can see the warmth, inside the shadow area, and the cool, playing those against each other. This is one where I wanted to see how simple I could be with my composition. Very subtle, changes in color and temperature and silhouette. There's always something that I'm experimenting with when I'm creating my images. This is another one where I wanted to see how blue can I go in my shadow area. How you're playing really warm and bright in the light areas, and then really cool blue in the shadow areas, and seeing how they work off of each other. Lots of different just different things that I try. This was these fish, these spade fish. I actually experienced this when I was living in South Florida on the beach. I would go out to this reef and dive, and I dove in and had all these spade fish come down and hang out around me, and I just did painting of one of the spade fish, but then I decided just to repeat it, and then I took out details. It's all the same spade fish, but I painted them differently. I added different details over each one, so I created what looks like this school. Everything. Here's one where I was playing with atmosphere. There's a brown pelican, but I wanted to push him back into the fog. And I actually, I saw that when this guy was sitting on my dock when I was living on the water, and I looked out into the fog, and there he was. So I did a painting. Lots of different, like I said, mediums, and always experimenting. This is a little pen drawing that I did while I was sitting in a story meeting at Disney. So anyway, but I got sidetracked. I wanted to show you the charcoal. So yeah, do that charcoal. And if you can do it on a toned board, you can get a really great effect. I really like it, and I use General's white charcoal pencils and General's black charcoal pencils as well. So there you go. Here's my my long-winded response to your charcoal drawing. Sorry, I got sidetracked there.
There's your deep thoughts.
Here's my deep thoughts,
Deep thoughts, And Robinson is asking, does Dustin draw? I used to a lot in high school, but nowadays I just do more of like graphic design, kind of like my own titles and things like that. But you can see my old sketches and designs on in my photo albums on my Facebook page. But nowadays I'm more of a wildlife photographer nowadays. So
Here we go. Well, I'm getting close to, I'm at a good stopping point for this right now. I've got more I'm going to do, but we've been at this for 2.5 hours, almost 2.5 hours, and I'm getting hungry.
I am too, actually.
I'm going to rotate this back. Catherine on YouTube asks, I'm a 30 years old stay-at-home mom. After my family, art and animals are my passion. My husband has encouraged me to find a vocation that could potentially provide for our family should anything happen. At my age and place in life, would a career in I'm assuming a career in art be wise, or should I keep it my hobby? No. I think you should go for it. There's nothing stopping you, baby. Get out there and try it. Go for it.
Do it.
People start at much older ages, and when I lost my job at the big studios, I decided to start my own business. I started my own business at granted, I know I had a foothold in the art world already, but I started over completely at age 45, or 46 even. I think I was 46. So no, you're not too old. Go for it.
I think your voice is starting to fall apart.
I know. I've been talking so much.
And Gabby's on, says, "Morning all."
Jason on YouTube says, sadly, you can't block your wife. What? Mine does not like what I do 90% of the time, so I just don't ask her opinion anymore as far as my art goes. That's horrible. Wow. She should be your biggest fan, man. That's a bummer. Sorry for that.
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks.
Hey, morning, Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. You're getting up kind of late, Gabby. No, we got up early.
Oh yeah, it's 11:30.
I know.
I mean, it's still what 8, 9 over there right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you those originals. Nick was just reminding me up there. Those originals that I was just showing you, some of those are actually still available for sale over on my website, creatureartteacher.com. But anyway, we're gonna. I hit a good stopping point here. There we go. There's our cityscape that we're creating, and I'm going to continue to work on this throughout the day, and it's going to take me about a day to get it done, and then I'll share it on social media. So look for that. But once again, we're going to be doing this every Tuesday, same time, 9 a.m. our time, whatever that works out to be for your time. We're 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The same time as New York City and Miami and all that. And stay safe. If they're telling you to stay, away from people, listen to them, because the more we can keep this under control, the quicker we're going to be able to get through this and get back to work. I think too many people aren't listening, and I have a feeling that we're going to be at this a long time, and I'm hoping that's not the case. But that aside, I hope you guys have a great week. And remember, I've got my brand new course on lighting on my website. If you're interested in something new to work on until next week, the lighting course is half off. It's 50% off. If you're looking to try something new, if you want to try some animation and you've never done that before, my animation course is free. My Fundamentals of Animation course is absolutely free, and so I'd love for you to go over and check that out. You might enjoy it. And then everything else, we've got a big sale going on. We've slashed all the prices on everything so that people, while they're stuck at home, can afford it. All right, so stay safe, keep up the faith. We're going to get through all this. It's amazing that this is a worldwide thing. I've never seen anything like this in my life. My father, he's 80 years old. He's never seen anything like it either.
I think none of our generations ever seen this.
But what I like about it is that it's bringing us closer. We're feeling more like a community, and that's what we are. We are a global community, and we got to look out not just for ourselves in our own countries, but I think we got to look out for ourselves as a species around the globe, and not be so tribal. And so we're all brothers and sisters on this planet, and let's watch out for each other, okay? And so with that, I'm going to say put some beauty back into the world. That's going to be your assignment for the next week. Let's get back together on Friday, and then and if that's the wrong time zone for you, and especially in Asia, I'll see you again next week on Tuesday, right at the same time. So go out, put some beauty back into the world, stay safe, make someone's life a little bit easier, and I'll talk to you next time. Dustin?
Thank you guys so much for watching. Glad you guys enjoyed this stream. And if you guys are interested in any wildlife photography, I do a lot of that on my Instagram. You can check that out at Dustin_Blaise over on Instagram. Again, that's Dustin_Blaise. And so hope you guys go over there and show some support over there. That would be awesome. And looking forward to seeing you guys this Friday. And so until that time, Cowboy Bebop. See ya.